Hello, my name is Ash, a counselor in training. This is my Relatable study podcast for individuals who need help studying for their NCE, CPCE, and other related counseling exams. I'm going to go through many questions from multiple resources and make the answers relatable to both you and me. So get your listening ears on and let's get studying. What is attachment between infants and parent/caregivers? Attachment is the emotional bond that develops between an infant and a parent or caregiver. This is when the infant responds to nonverbal communication between the parent or caregiver and develops that sense of trust and security as the infant's needs are met. Through this nonverbal communication, it would include eye contact, tender tones of the voice, touch, calm and attentive facial expressions, and body language. This is how attachment is formed between infants and parents and caregivers. When utilizing the term caregivers, it could also be adoptive parents, grandparents, friends, babysitters, nannies. It could be a number of people. A counselor in training may say, I couldn't care less about passing the NCE or CPCE or the licensing exam. This, A, is displacement. B, is an attempt to reduce dissonance via consistent cognitions. B, is an attempt to reduce dissonance by denial, thus minimizing tension. D, is projection. The answer is C. A counselor in training may say, I couldn't care less about passing the NCE, CPCE, or the licensing exam. This is an attempt to reduce dissonance by denial, minimizing tension. You can do this. You're going to pass this exam. Using positive affirmations can reverse the tension by acceptance and positive affirmations. When individuals say, I couldn't care less about passing this test or exam, they are denying and trying to reduce the dissonance to minimize this tension. What did Pavlov discover about conditioned responses? Pavlov learned to link experimental manipulated stimuli to existing natural unconditioned stimuli to a fixed unconditioned response. Remember Pavlov's dogs. When Pavlov rang his bell, the dogs would salivate when food was present, and then when the food was taken away and he rang the bell, they would salivate. Remember that experiment with Pavlov's bells and his dogs, because this is how you're going to remember Pavlov and what he discovered about conditioned responses. The statement, even though my car is old and doesn't run well, it sure keeps my insurance payment low. A is displacement. B is an attempt to reduce dissonance via consistent cognitions. B is projection. C is projection. D would never reduce dissonance in an individual. The answer is B. The statement, even though my car is old and doesn't run well, it sure keeps my insurance payment low, is an attempt to reduce dissonance via consistent cognitions. The consistent cognitions plays an important role in information processing, and it is a preference for thoughts and beliefs that the individual has regarding any statements and reduces that dissonance with new and old information. I would highly recommend looking up dissonance and how it affects consistent cognitions. What is feminist theory? Feminist theory is the view of inequality of gender, with females as the victim of an almost universal paternal model in which family, religious institutions, and socio-political figures are dominated by males. The proponents of feminist theory focuses on the areas of interest to females, which include power structures, gender discrimination, racial discrimination, social and economic inequality, and gender oppression. Feminists often have to point out the exclusion of women in the development of theories about human behavior, other academic matters, and research. Personally, recommend looking up the feminist theory to better understand how it works in the real world and talk to individuals who support the feminist theory. That is all 5 questions. Thank you for listening. Keep calm and study on.